What's going on, CDL fans? Back again with my power rankings after Major 1. It was an amazing event, and there's a lot of shifts in the power rankings, so I'm excited to go through this with you today. We saw a bunch of teams jump, we saw a bunch of teams fall in these power rankings, and honestly, this event really showed us a lot about what to expect from these teams going forward, considering that this is, like a fourth-ish away through the season, maybe a little less than that, since there's only 4 majors this year, and then COD champs. This definitely gives us some insight on what these teams are really looking like, and really this is a good point in the season to actually judge these teams on what their projection for the rest of the season could be. Let's hop right into it with our number 12 team, that being the New York Subliners. The Subliners fell 1 spot from the last power ranking, honestly, and I'll put in the team that's right above them so we could talk about this together. Paris jumped over them, mainly that being Paris won a series at the major, which was their first series, so both these teams have 1 series win, but Paris honestly just looks a little more promising. They win some more maps. If it wasn't for the fact that Paris has lost 1 more series, they would be higher than the Subliners on the official CDL standings. So technically Subliners are 1-5 and Paris are 1-6, so they're technically lower than them. But for the power rankings purposes, I'm putting Paris over them. I think Subliners really have to make some switches. Paris have showed a little bit of promise after the roster switch with Tom Gravity coming in, so it'd be interesting to see how they do going forward. Then we move into number 10. We have the Florida Mutineers, who fell 2 spots from the last power rankings. They lost 3-2 in the first round of losers at the major, so obviously not a great showing out of them. I thought this team was a little bit better than the 10th spot for most of the season so far, but they've really been hovering around this area. So this might be about where they are from the majority of the season. I mean, you saw Big Wake put up like a 1.6 in the 1 series. Obviously they played, but they just couldn't win the series, as simple as that. So I think when it comes down to it, this Florida team has things they need to work on. Maybe some changes need to be made. But overall, this team, I feel comfortable setting them in at number 10. Then right above Florida, we have the LA Gorillas, who also fell 2 spots. The Gorillas, they have things they need to figure out. This team should be better than the 9th overall team, in my opinion. Obviously, a team made up of veterans, you're not always guaranteed the same success as veterans might have seen in past years, right? Obviously, some people get better, some people get worse. So they definitely need to see more, I think, out of this roster as a whole. Sims obviously looked really good. Hook and Gunless have had their moments. Slasher definitely needs to be the one to step it up overall the most, I think, on this team. But just as a whole, this team is just not really doing that great. Then coming in at number 8, we have the Minnesota Rocker, who I have up 2 spots. Rocker looked pretty good at the major. This is definitely one of those dark horse teams we're going to see all year long. This is the kind of team that in my early season, I replied to like some CDL Intel tweet that was like, what team do you think is going to shock you the most? My shocking, bold prediction was that Rocker would be a bottom 3 team by the end of the season, which I do think is a possibility. But right now, this team really seems like one of those solidified dark horses that you're either going to see at the bottom of the table, or you're going to see, maybe like high middle at the most at one of these, and maybe even a top 4 at one of these majors. They're 3 and 4 right now, not really a positive map count. So definitely I think they deserve this 8th spot. And then coming in right above them, a team that they're technically higher than on the official CDL table is the Seattle Surge. Mainly I have Seattle higher than Rocker just because of their early performances. The ceiling of Seattle looked higher than the ceiling of Rocker since what we've seen so far this season. So I put Seattle 1 spot higher, although it did fall 2 spots. So this is the farthest down the table Seattle has gotten. I think they started at like number 1, and now they're all the way down to 7, so they need to figure things out. I don't think they need a roster change, but they do need to sort out what the problem is with this team, because they definitely shouldn't be a team that is falling out of the major in the first round of losers. They were super good in the beginning of the year, and they need to find that form again. Then coming into our top 6, starting it off, we have the Boston Breach, who are up 3 spots. This Boston Breach team is honestly one that I haven't been super high on all year long. You have two rookies coming in that I didn't know much about, and then you have two veterans that were out of the league pretty much all, you know, like all of last year. So definitely a team that I didn't think was gonna be that good, but they continue to surprise me and continue to do really well. They're 4-5 currently with an 18 and 21 map count, so obviously they're not over 500 in either of those categories, but they are number 6 in the CDL standings. I have them number 6 in my power rankings, and I think this is a fair spot. Coming in at number 5, we have the Toronto Ultra, up 1 spot from last week. Ultra still doesn't look great. Obviously, I think they went 0-7 in hardpoint at the major, which is not what you want to see, especially out of this Ultra team who was really good last year. But they are up 1 spot because they did finish top 4. So this team is, you know, this team is still a force to be reckoned with, and if they can sort out some of their issues in these respawns, this team can be really, really good. Coming in at number 4, we have the LA Thieves, who are down 2 spots from last power rankings. The Thieves are currently 6-3 in map count, or not map count, in match count, and 23-15 in map count. So they're obviously a really solid team overall, but they kind of disappointed at the major. I mean, a 5th, 6th finish. I was kind of hoping for top 4 out of the Thieves. They did obviously have to face some tough opponents, so it wasn't like they were losing to teams they definitely should have been beating, but I still think this team has a ton of promise. I think Envoy looked really, really good at the major. Draws at his moments. They all had their moments. I think Octane overall is the one that maybe needs to step it up the most, but his role seems to kind of just being that AR locking down hills. He just kind of sits and soaks up time, captures points in control. So overall, I can't be too mad at Octane for not dropping like 2.0 KDs like maybe he was last year, because his role has kind of shifted. But overall, this team at number 4, you're still top 4 team in the power rankings, right? So you can't be super mad at that. We move into our top 3 with London Royal Ravens staying at 3 from last week. Very well deserved, right? London was 3 last week. They finished 3rd at the major. They're 3rd in the CDL standings, and I just think London is really the 3rd best team. I don't think there's much doubt that London is a top 3 team currently in the CDL. I like this London team. I like their confidence. I like the way they're built out. They are a lot like FaZe, where they have like a bunch of crazy, gunny, super aggressive players, and you got like a mastermind, a shot caller like Zero, like Arcides, as your leader on this team. I think the Ravens are a team that could 100% win a major this year. They definitely had some unfortunate things. I know Gizmo tweeted something out. He had a lot of personal stuff going on that, you know, kind of hinders your mindset and definitely doesn't help you play to the best of your ability. So hopefully they can get that all sorted out, and everything can get better for all those guys and whatever's going on personally, and we can see them make another run at one of these majors. I think this is a team we will see consistently top 4 at every single major, but number 3 on the power rankings, definitely a great spot to be. And coming in at number 2, we have Atlanta FaZe down 1 spot, so that means Optic is up 3 spots from 4 to 1 this week. Obviously Optic won the major, right? So of course they jump up because of that. A lot of people, especially FaZe fans, might still think that FaZe are a better team, which is a reasonable argument, but you know, let me run it down for you why I have Optic over FaZe. Number 1, obviously Optic won the major, right? So that obviously should put them up a lot higher. Number 2, they beat FaZe twice. They beat FaZe. Not only did they reverse sweep them, but then they also beat them in the finals. So I would say for sure, Optic is you got to put Optic higher than FaZe, right? If they beat them 2 times, you have to put Optic higher than FaZe. Not only that, but since week 3, since Optic was 0-2, they're at a 23-6 map count. That's nearly, I think, a 80% win rate in their maps since they started off with that 0-2 in the beginning of the season this year. So this team is crazy good, a super force to be reckoned with, right? I mean, despite FaZe, they would only have 2 map losses. So absolutely crazy out of Optic. They haven't dropped the series since week 2. Overall, this team just looks so good, and they really are, I think, going to be fighting for a top 2 with FaZe all year long. I would still like to point out that on the CDL official standings, FaZe is number 1 because they played more series than Optic. They have 5 more CDL points. So FaZe has 100 points and Optic has 95. So FaZe is still number 1, but power rankings are not solely based off of CDL standings. So I have Optic number 1 on my power rankings. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more CDL content. Let me know what you thought about the major, and let me know your early prediction for who you think is going to win a major 2. I really think I can go either way between a bunch of these teams. But with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.